So this one is full of bell peppers, and I really love yellow bell peppers, orange ones, red ones. The green ones not so much, but I still use them. So bell peppers come with millions of seeds, so I ended up throwing some in the pot here. So I'm really excited to see, how they continue to grow here. They're doing really well. As you can see here, in between I have the ends of some scallions that I cut off, green onions. Behind that, this one is, I planted some callaloo seeds, and those I planted over the winter time. They're finally outdoors right now. As you can see, the plants are really tiny. I don't know if you can see that. This one, really tiny. I had planted several batches, and throughout the winter I had to have them indoors because it was too cold, so they didn't do very well, so I had to replant them. So this is the second batch of seeds that I planted, and I have about 20 or so tiny ones. These two, I believe these three, survived from the first batch, and as you can see now it's somewhat bigger, but they really struggled, so I'm hoping they'll thrive. Usually these plants get really, really large, so I more than likely will have to add more soil as they grow, and then possibly having to transplant them into a deeper pot, but we'll see how it goes. So this is the bottom part of a broccoli that I cut off. This is another part of one, so let's see how those do as well. So I'm going to spritz them right now just to keep the topsoil moist, especially for the smaller plants. And then later on, when it cools down, I'm going to give them some nice water, regular water at the roots, so that they can be ready for the next day. Here I have some tomato plants that these were just some seeds from tomatoes that I bought in the supermarket, and I threw the seeds in some soil in a smaller pot, and they grew. Tomatoes always grow very easily, at least that's my experience with them, and now it's actually flowering here. So this is a smaller round kind. It's not the cherry tomatoes, but a sort of a medium-sized one, if I remember correctly. I think these are two different ones, I'm not sure. So in with the tomato plant that's flowering here, I have some thyme. I had planted these seeds and they grew for a while, and then they weren't doing so well. This was, again, I had to have it indoors because of the cold weather. As it's warm now, I replanted them here outdoors. They seem to be putting out some nice green sprouts. As you can see, the top ones are dry. So I separated it, and it's now in two little batches here, so hopefully they spring up nicely. This other pot here is more tomatoes, other kinds, the larger beef steak type tomatoes and some other kinds. So let's see what comes of those. And in this pot, I have some tops of carrots. I bought several bags of carrots because I'm trying to eat a little more raw foods, and so I've been buying more carrots. So what I do is just cut the tops off, and as you can see here, they're nice and green. When I got them, they really didn't have anything on them. They were just bare like this one, but as you see here, these are springing up nicely. Initially I had them, the tops just sat in some water, but then this soil retains a lot of moisture, so I thought I'd just transplant all of them into here. So I had an avocado seed, and what I did was I poked some toothpicks in there, 3, so that it could sit with the bottom touching the water in this glass, and look at what has happened. It sprouted a really healthy root here. So I'm going to go ahead and plant it in this small pot, and then when it's more mature and maybe has leaves, I will replant it into something bigger. But for now, in this little pot, I think will be perfect. I'm going to leave the toothpicks on there so that it still will stay elevated and not crush the roots, but at least the roots are nicely covered now with soil, so hopefully it will continue to grow. I wasn't sure how long to leave it in the water, but it's been about, let's say, 3-4 weeks now in the water. I changed the water a few times just to keep it fresh. So now I'm going to just spritz this. I love avocado, so I'm really hoping this plant will thrive. It may take years to grow, but it's worth trying. And I'm going to give it partial sun until it's matured. So I also wanted to show you, this is my white sage plant. I had 3 of them, and I ended up pruning off all the leaves because they were looking not so healthy. I did that about a week and a half ago. I am not really seeing any signs of life, but then the weather has been kind of weird, not much sun. So now they're out in full sun whenever they can get it. So hopefully they'll start producing some more leaves again. If not, maybe they're just a one and done, and I'll just have to replant some seeds. This is an old blueberry plant I have. I feel that it's more or less dead, but I thought I'd just prune it and put it in this new batch of soil here and see if somehow, against the odds, it'll survive. So I pruned my white sage plant, basically just cutting off all the main branches, the leaves. They weren't looking so healthy, and I ended up binding them. So this is mostly stalk, but it really still has the smell of the white sage. So I just bound them into 3 separate ones here, and they've been drying for a few days now. I'm going to allow them to completely dry, and then I will be using them for smudging. Maybe 4 years now. It's winter hardy. It looks pretty good. I have never gotten fruit from it, but I'm hoping that maybe this year. It may be just the fact that I have it planted in a pot. It stayed out last winter. I had it covered for quite a while. That's why it's sort of bent. I covered it with some plastic, but now it's thriving again. But as of right now, no sign of fruit on it. So we'll see. Maybe this is the year. The mature forest strawberries, the wild strawberries that I've had for several years now. As you can see here, this one is producing strawberries right here. And the leaves are so large compared to the other ones that I've just harvested. If you can see here, we have some strawberries here, and this one is even ripening. We have some more here. So look at those lovely, fresh, organic wild strawberries. I just love them. I'm hoping the ones that I just planted would thrive as well as this in the pots here. So there's hope for them. So this one is very ripe and ready to be picked. So sweet and buttery. So delicious. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified about new episodes.